now we're going to move on to the rocker. We got the fender and the door off, and it allows me to get in here and clean up a bunch of this stuff a little bit better too anyway, so no big deal there. But from up here, the rocker looks really good. All my A-pillars look really good, no damage. But then when you get down underneath here, that whole rocker's just shot all the way back to that tape. So that's about midpoint on the rocker. But I don't want to get into any of this up in here because that's all perfect. This is all good metal. This all is good metal, and all this stuff is tied in really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right along this body line here, just below it, grind up to it, and just put a piece underneath. We'll cut it off right along this front edge here, leave a little bit. We'll cut it along this front edge, and we'll leave a little bit, and then we'll cut a line along the bottom, and we're just going to put a little filler piece in there and weld it in good and straight. So that's the plan, so that we can get rid of all of this stuff and not have to do something chintzy or cheesy like, you know, fiberglass cloth and all that kind of stuff that was on there before. As you can still see, there's a bunch in there. So anyways, Wade and me are getting after it. Alright, so Hoyt's gonna make me a quick template. I don't have my angle gauge here, little multi-faceted ones. So what we're going to do is just going to trace out a little template that fits neatly kind of along, and well, if it helps you if I point at what I'm showing it, just to fit real snug along here out of that cardboard, so I can check against the actual car and just see where it is or isn't the same, because I've run into this too many times in the past with these rockers that nothing's right. Running?
Yep.
Alright, so Whit and I made this template of the replacement panel. It fits pretty close. It's not exact, but it's close enough for us to test whether or not that shape and this shape are the same. Just in looking at it, I already know that this edge right here is crisper, more crisp.
Hello?
Hello? Who's here? Hey, Craig's here. So this angle is definitely sharper on the original piece than on the new piece. It's very rounded on the new piece. This angle we could probably get away with. But if we put this on here, you can see that there's a bit of a gap, or it rocks on this piece. So if I line these two corners up, I could probably make these two corners match, and then I'll have to shape this piece or maybe cut it or something in order to get this front piece up here to work. So we just had a long debate as to whether or not to try and use the piece and cut it or return it, because I could just do this with flat metal, but it does have a little bit of a crown to it. Like this is perfectly flat and this is perfectly flat, but this has a little bit of a crown, and it may just be more trouble than it's worth to try and get that to line up. So we're going to cut up the other piece and make it work. So, yay. There are so many things. Roofing nails, dirt dauber's nest, lots of snail shells, like you name it. There's quite a bit of it inside this rocker. I'm actually impressed. That's pretty good. So let's get this cleaned out.
What's an assortment?
It's a couple of fingers deep in there. Alright, so this is my problem with most aftermarket panels. So we've got a decent fit right in here and on this bottom lip and all the way up to the pinch weld underneath. That all seems to line up. Now I've got this slid down over the end. I'm just trying to check this profile. But with this flush, all of this is good. Look how much taller this section is right here. I can slide an entire chisel end underneath there. It's a 1/4 inch taller than the factory piece. So this would have never lined up or fit. It would have never fit in here at my B pillars. It would have never fit at the A pillars. It would have never fit anywhere, being that it was, this dimension is so much bigger, and it does it all the way down. It gets a little bit less down here, but I think that's only because I'm actually sitting on the part up under here that's pushing this part down a little bit. You can see I've got it hanging over there just so I can check the profile. But when we get this slid back over, I will cut this so that it's a butt weld, since it lines up really well, better than I thought it would actually. And then I'll trim this edge off and I'll butt weld it right here, and then give it a little bit more body, because this had been crushed in a little bit along this leading edge under here. So I needed a little more height to be able to match up to my door. It was pushed in just a touch. This has got a little bit of a bow in it. I need to check compared to the other side and see if I need to hammer that back out this way a little bit, or if it just crushed it under. But either way, I'll get this set in the appropriate place, check it with the fender, and then tack that in so that I know that all my body lines here will line up well, and save myself a lot of effort in Bondo and body work. So we'll get that done. But I'm leaving what is structural. All of this is structural. It's all still good. There's no reason to cut it out. There's no reason to cut out and replace the whole rocker again. There's some patching and stuff that I need to do on this B pillar here, but not enough that would justify completely cutting out the entire piece and dealing with all the inner structures and making the body stay square and all those kinds of things. It's just not worth it to me anyways. So I'd rather patch in the small pieces and take my time, and I'd rather have a little bit of a patchwork than risk having the body twist or move, or having things no longer fit because these replacement panels are never the right dimension. As I showed you on the quarter panel, the quarter panel was a 1/2 inch too short to actually go on. I would have had to have split it down the center, pulled it over, and then made the entire piece fit, and it's not worth it. Same with this. It's not worth trying to replace this whole thing when I know all of this works. I know it's still straight. I can see all of the original pinch welds from the factory, and they're all still good. None of this has been wrinkled up or wrecked or damaged. It just had some minor damage underneath. Maybe somebody pulled over something, or I don't know what. But anyways, I'll trim this back and we'll get it fitted in, and it'll look perfect. Well, I've got the rocker fully cut out, trimmed in. I painted underneath all the exposed areas and then ground off the areas for my spot welds. I've got this piece prepped up and ready to weld in. Ground off all the places for my spot welds. Ground off this edge so I can weld it, etc., etc. I'm gonna get it clamped in there, and I'll start tacking it in place, and I'll bring you back while I'm doing that. But basically what I'm going to do is clamp it into place, and I'll start underneath on the bottom down here and make sure all of those lines right there line up really well. I'll go slow, tack, 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 tack. I'll get it up, and I'll come over here, start doing the same thing on the front side. Put that in there and tack, 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 and then I'll slowly just get it all in there. I'm gonna go real slow, try not to get too much heat in this so I don't warp it up. It's a long panel, even though it's got the reinforcements in there with the bends. Still wanna make sure everything stays good and tight. I do need to mark out one way or another where this support piece sits so that I can go ahead and weld that in as well. But we'll take care of all that here shortly. All right, I'll bring you back when I start welding. All right, got my air. Gonna go ahead and weld this rocker panel in place. At least get it tacked into place. That way, I'll probably come back and weld everything all in a day or two. Just turn the music on and maybe do a time lapse. I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff tacked in. I got it basically where I want it right here. I'll push it in and out as needed to make sure everything stays nice and flat and level. And I'm going to go slow, like I said, cool everything off so that I don't get any warpage. But let's see what we can get done here. Alright, there we go. It is all tacked in. As you can see, just quick easy tack welds. Thing lined up pretty well. So, should be minimal filler, minimal body work. Thing's fairly flat here, so I'm happy with it. We'll finish weld it all later and get it all done. I just kind of wanted to get it tack welded in for now. So, all right, we'll bring you back later. All right. So this is it, all welded up. See how nice it turned out. Very clean, nice edges all the way around. So got a little bit of cleaning up to do around there, but that's what the whole thing will look like. Like it never had a repair done at all. Looks beautiful.